he never had anything towards women or anything towards anybody. He was just very to himself. He was very quiet.
What did everyone say? Like, what was the
Look at her. She is like seething for it. Look at her face. Look at her. Look at her. Oh, she makes me sick.
Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged.
So this girl went to school with Bryan's sister that was there at court. I think it's Amanda, right? What I find so freaking disgustingly ironic is that Banfield sat here and made fun of Kohberger for calling his mom and calling him like a mommy's boy and like making a big deal out of the fact that he like actually talks to his parents, and also like making fun of the sister that was at court because they have like similar eyes and she makes fun of Kohberger's eyes. And so there was like a whole thing where like her and Bryan Inton were like talking about it, right? So then she's gonna sit here and like almost act like she actually gives a shit, forgetting, I guess, that like we've already heard her talk about things and the way that she acts about stuff. I also find it really crazy that this girl apparently works with her and that they've been like work colleagues that see each other a few different times a year for like a few years now. And in the last almost 3 years, that meant that they would have seen each other like quite a bit, right? All of a sudden, this chick's like, oh, by the way, did you know? By the way, did you know? So I don't even know if she's actually verified. I don't know if she's validated. They're not showing any text messages. I just wanted to show you guys anyway for just in cases. But I will also state she doesn't say anything bad. She says nothing bad whatsoever. She actually says how like Amanda was like a really cool chick in school. She had a great personality that like she couldn't get anything bad out of her, which I just found interesting. That's what I was wondering if Willie knows her. Does this just happen like a couple of hours ago? So I don't know if he's even seen it yet. Because she, with the way that Willie describes stuff, she would be in that like age range. So I guess we'll find out. I have it at 1.15x.
Mandy, this is so weird because we're work colleagues. You and I see each other a couple times a year, and you shocked me the other day when you said, I went to school with him. What? Comparing the person that you've been hearing about now with the person that you knew, back in high school. So let's just start with the pictures themselves.
She did. That's what she says. Yeah. And she again, like Banfield keeps trying to like fish something out of her. And she's like, no, they were great.
Let's pop the first picture up in the series of shots. Does this invoke anything? I mean, when I looked at this, it gave me the chills because I only know the Kohberger of recent, and I can't get over those eyes. But what does this photo speak to you?
That one kind of seems like a sad.
Yeah, the chills.
Seems like he's sad.
Is that the person you knew? Did you ever get the feeling in high school that that quiet kid was a sad kid?
It was always, again, he was younger than me. So it was more so I spent more time with his sister. And he was always just so quiet. We never got the sense that there was something wrong. Sometimes when things like this happen and people come out and they say, oh, he was quiet, but yeah, that kind of makes sense because he did this, this, and this. We didn't have that. Like we grew up in a community where everybody knew everybody. And when this came out, it was very shocking to a lot of us. It was very like, wait, what? It wasn't oh, that kind of makes sense for us.
Did you immediately, upon hearing the name Bryan Kohberger is the one arrested for the horrendous quadruple murder in Idaho, everybody in Idaho in the community there was saying, who? He's not connected to us. Did you suddenly call old friends or old connections from high school and just sort of connect with them to say, what the actual F?
Yes, we did. There were some friends that I reached out to immediately and said, oh my God, did you hear what happened? Did you reach out to so-and-so? What happened? And yes, the group change started immediately because again, we do come from such a small town. So everybody who knows everybody, it's a small town where everybody shares the same
She
last
tries.
name. I shouldn't say that. Hold on. Let me not
But
say
close enough, right? No.
Yeah, she just said everyone shares the same last name. She's like, yeah, let me not say that. Yeah, you probably don't want to make it like that because that's a little crazy.
That's okay. That's okay.
But yes, we do come from such a small town where everybody knows everybody. So it was very shocking when we did hear Kohberger. It was
See how much more like prominent his eyebrow bone like sticks out more because he doesn't have like all the chunky around his face. Everyone's face changes whenever they lose weight. Plus, he's also older.
it was instantly, I said, oh my God, I went to high school with the Kohbergers. Amanda was in my graduating class. So it was very, very shocking to all of us.
See how like her eyes and his, like that's just like the family. That's just how they look. And they've been making fun of him like this whole time because his eyes. And then we see her walk out and they're like, oh, wow. Yeah, look at that. And I'm like, okay, so is she some sort of crazy serial killer too, simply because she looks like her brother? Like, what's up? Like, it's wild. It's freaking wild.
Yes, for sure.
What did everyone say? Like, what was the
Look at her. She is like seething for it. Look at her face. Look at her. Look at her. Oh, she makes me sick.
basics of the conversations that you suddenly were all
Yeah, they
having?
could.
And this was like December 30th.
Everybody was shocked. There was no inkling of, like I said, there was no, that makes sense.
There was no thought that, well, we all knew he was going to be
Right.
in the news in some way.
Both of his sisters are really pretty. For like, actually.
Right. There was no thought that any of us would have ever imagined that something like this.
No,
would have
you're
went
not
down.
doomed. You're fine.
No.
Did you try to reach out to Amanda, his sister? Did you try to reach out to the family members that you went to school with?
I have not. No. I have personal friends who are personal friends with the families. And that's
They
all.
must have gone through the most unimaginable hell. I mean, they're sort of the forgotten victims in all of this, the Kohberger family. They did not do this. They did nothing. They were not complicit in this. This is Bryan Kohberger's doing. This is his monstrous mind at work. This was his monstrous hands at work. This was not his two sisters. This was not his parents. And
But then you sat there and like made fun of the fact that they have a close relationship with their son to where he calls them. It's funny how you like act depending on who you talk to.
and they really suffered.
They did. And my heart goes out to Amanda and his family. And, it's very, very hard. It's, the Kohbergers are left with the aftermath of what he did. Like his poor family now has to deal with everything that he
Yeah.
did.
What are they like, the Kohbergers?
Amanda was a sweet, sweet girl growing up. She was wonderful. She has a great personality. She's wonderful. So it's a shame that she's being dragged through the mud the way that she is. She does not deserve it at all.
She lost her job, right? She and her sister
Both
both
of
were
them.
fired so
From
quickly.
what I understand, and it's very unfortunate. She does not deserve what's happening to her and her sister. And I wish them nothing but the best. I hope that they can move past
That's what she's trying to do. That's what she's trying to do. She's just like waiting for like the one little nugget to come out that's gonna like get her that million views out of the person who went to school with somebody who's really close to Amanda. You know what I mean? But again, she can't. There's nothing negative to say, and it's just hilarious to me how much she's trying. It's really sad.
Very unfortunate.
I want to go back to some of these pictures from high school. I had seen a couple pictures before, so I knew he was heavier and looks like he's a lot heavier. He looks like he's half the size that he used to be. But this is the guy you went to school with. Like, this is the image. This is the person you remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it invoke any kind of memory or does it just sort of leave you flat?
It just sort of leaves me flat, to be honest, because again, there was never any, he never had anything towards women or anything towards anybody. He was just very to himself. He was very quiet.
Yeah, that whole like thing, like the more of the ISP documents that we're going over, the more that it's becoming obvious that everything that was really like going on at WSU, it all started with the one girl that he asked out for coffee that was so offended because she's a lesbian. She was so offended that a man asked her out for coffee that she decided to make a huge big deal out of it. But in her like telling of what actually happened, she's not describing a tone change. him threatening her whenever he was rejected by her, him saying anything threatening, looking at her threatening, bucking up to her, getting in her face, like nothing. She simply is like, no, my girlfriend's here, gets in the car and goes away. And then that's like it. So then she wants to start complaining about how it seems like he's like everywhere. And I'm like, okay, well, it's a school. So y'all and y'all are like in the same classes. So y'all are going to be like in the same areas. That's pretty much like a given, right? Like that's just how the frick it works. Plus she's like starting to say how he's like looking at her funny and all other kinds of things. And I'm thinking, well, probably because he knows that you're the reason why he keeps getting dragged into HR, because you're going around telling everybody all kind of crazy stuff. But then in the instance that you're telling the situation, it's literally a man asked you out for coffee and it made you uncomfortable. It only made you uncomfortable because you didn't like the advance. He didn't do anything. You're not describing that he did anything to you. He asked you for coffee. You walked away because your girlfriend showed up in the car. That's it. The fact that he continued on the conversation, like it literally played out exactly like you would like imagine it playing out. The person's getting ready to leave the room. The other person's sitting there talking to them, carrying on a conversation that they think that they're okay to have. The person says it's time for them to leave. So he's like walking her out of the building. And then before she goes to leave, he asks her out for coffee. But she, again, doesn't mention, after I rejected him and told him no, he started cussing me out and called me all these names and got in my face or made a threatening gesture at me. None of that's there. None of it is there. It just seems like something that went stupid because somebody was like dumb. But it's still funny to me that that's really like where it's all coming from, is like somebody who was just like mad because somebody was like asking her out for coffee. And she just didn't like the advance because she doesn't like dudes. That's as far as the story went. So whenever it comes to, oh, he was sexist and all these things, I still can't see it. I don't see it. Because again, we have people that have come out and interviewed on News Nation, on all of these channels, men and women alike that have the similar stories of both ways. Men that were graded really harshly, men that weren't. Women that were graded harshly, women that weren't. Women that he actually really liked the way they worked, so he would put notes on their stuff. He would do the same thing for the men that he liked the stuff. The only professor he truly had an issue with that's really being reported as an ongoing issue was Professor Snyder, a man. There's like something about the multicultural professor, but the person who's reporting that situation doesn't even know what the argument was about. So who knows? It could have been something not even that serious. We don't even know. No one knows. No one's coming out and telling us the details. But it seems like it was issues with both. Both people had issues. Both people didn't have issues, like when it comes to male and female. So they're taking and cherry picking the things that they want to create their story, create their narrative, but they're not showing the fact that like, oh, well, it actually wasn't just women. It was dudes too. So it's really not a sexist thing or a misogynistic thing. She's digging for it. Because next she's going to go into bullying. Just watch. She tries to create it.
So
that's what fascinates me, because the person that we are getting to know, as opposed to the person here, from 15 or so years ago, is skinny, angry, rude, misogynistic, and is belligerent, like wants to be out front in class, wants to lecture everybody. Certainly not a quiet guy.
But also was trying to get answers for how to create a good rapport with students. He was somebody that was constantly like reaching out for ways to improve where he knew he had failures, which is something that sociopaths and psychos and shit like that don't give a damn about. They're not self-aware. They don't care. Like, I think they're self-enough aware to know that they have issues, but they're not self-enough aware to want to fix it. And we have that one professor claiming, the one who pretended to be like the mother of places, but like didn't want to help him at all. He reached out in front of everyone and asked her, because she was teaching on it, how he can fix that, how he can create that, because that's what he was getting in trouble for, not having that. And here he was in front of all of the students that he was being told, hey, you're not doing a good enough job connecting with them. He's physically asking for help on that situation in front of all of them to a professor. And people are acting like that's a sign that he's a psycho because he wanted attention. That's why he spoke out. Are you serious? So is that the case from before his name hit the news, or was that just like after the fact? And you actually liked the fact that he asked that question in class and seemed to actually care, and it didn't turn into a negative until after. It's stuff like that I just don't understand. Like, why are we trying to turn that into something that it's not? It sounds like he was being told ways he needed to change things academically, professionally, and he was trying to do that. He was told he didn't need to be around certain people. He stopped being around those people, and they started complaining about the fact that he was like all of a sudden not showing up anywhere, and no one ever knew where he was. Well, you didn't want to see him around you, so he's like abiding by your wishes. Why is that bad? It's like no matter what he tried to do, he was going to catch something. Is all that I'm seeing, all that I'm reading, and all of this stuff. I just don't see how we got here with what we have. I just don't.
Okay, so what do you make of that?
I really don't know. It's again, it was shocking. It was shocking to all of us. It's shocking now.
Makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. So
in high school, you never got an inkling that he wouldn't look at girls or didn't like girls or used to talk amongst a group of kids that, they were like, well, for lack of a better term, we now call them incels, but might have been the group of incels.
Yeah, she has to throw that in there.
No.
It feels like, from your description.
See, she threw that in there trying to be like, was he an incel in school? Like, she's just digging for it. She's digging for it. Ugh. People like that are so gross, bro.
One of them, he just was that guy that faded into the woodwork.
Yeah. And I know I just keep saying it now, and I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record. He really was just the quiet kid who just, when he graduated high school, he became when he graduated high school.
It sounds to me like he would get aggravated because Kohberger would go and talk to him after school was out, and it was holding up his time to get to the bar to meet his drinking buddy, is what it sounded like. Especially after his little drinking buddy's interview. Because it's literally like they would go, he would meet up with this dude at the bar, they would start drinking, and he would start running his mouth about Kohberger and about how mad he was that this kid kept wanting to talk to him after class and making him late to the bar. But I'm supposed to believe somebody who A, is like drunk as shit whenever he's being told the story, and B, the person telling the story is drunk as shit? What? No. Wild stuff. Just insane. All of it insane.
He became the security guard at the high school for a little bit there. And he stayed in the town, and that's what a lot of people do in that town is they graduate high school and they stay there. And we just thought he was just
kind of a non-memorable, homogenous kind of nondescript fella about who we've come to know. This personality that's just so off-putting, right? We've heard that he would skip or be late to female professors' classes, but not male professors.
Which is also a lie, because him and Snyder had issues, and Snyder complained about the fact that he would come in late all the time, according to his drinking buddy. So that's not true. And also we have to remember the fact that like all these people were basically like stalking him to see where he was and where he wasn't, and like talking to each other about him. Like, it honestly sounds like they were bullies.
He would dress down female students. He would cause many of them to cry.
That's not true. He caused like one to get upset because he called her opinion out with his own opinion that was different than hers. And they got into like a little bit of a heated debate, and she didn't like it. That's one person, not many. To say he caused many people to cry, I've only heard the one. So that's wild.
And he caused professors to meet about him, to say he's going to be a danger if we give him a PhD. It just sounds like it's 100% transformation from the kid you went to school with.
It is. That's why it's so shocking to all of us who come from this small town that where did this come from? And I know that it's so cliche to say, things like this don't happen in these small towns, but it really took us all by storm. The people that I talked to, the circle that I'm in, we were all very, very shocked.
Did you start thinking about it? Like, when you heard all these details, because clearly you're pretty connected to the story, so you follow the headlines, maybe more than most, right? Mm-hmm. But did you start thinking back, what did I miss? Were there red flags? Did you go over your whole map of your mind from high school thinking,
look, see, She's already been told that she couldn't think of anything, that there wasn't anything noticeable, nothing with against females or anything. And she's like, let me ask just one more time. Let me try to get it out of her. Girl.
Where might this have all had its genesis? Like, what was your thought process?
I think at first I remember going through and seeing where he was in high school, saying, because I remember, again, because we all grew up it was such a small town, and he was younger than me, so he was more closer to my sister's age. But Amanda was in my class. It was just so crazy. It really was because it was just so crazy. It was just, I know I just keep repeating myself because it really was just so crazy to see such a big headline and then to see your high school on CNN, because that's really what happened. It was breaking news, and my high school picture, a picture of my high school popped up on CNN, and I was like, what is going on? So it's just.
Did you search your mind like constantly? Like, what did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss back then?
I think we all did. I think we all at one point said, what could we have all not seen? But none of us missed anything. Obviously, we all missed something. But
none of you, even in all your chat sessions and your communications after his arrest, you couldn't come up with anything that made sense.
No. We can't. It's so bizarre. Because again, he was quiet and he was nice. His sister was great. His sister is great. She's, it's bizarre. It's very bizarre.
Mandy, knowing what we know now about Bryan Kohberger, there's some thought that he may have been bullied in school. Does that make sense? Just knowing your high school culture, that he might have been, relentlessly bullied. Maybe that triggered him.
Bullying at my high school, unfortunately, was a problem. I'm not going to pretend that it wasn't. Bullying is a problem
everywhere
in today's culture and was back then. So I wouldn't put it past that could have been a problem for him.
Did you ever hear of anything that related to him? Groups that didn't like him?
Specifically, no. But again, like I keep saying, he was very, very quiet.
Yeah, I'm sure that there was like something, because like everybody has somebody that like it's always like a personal pick on type thing pretty much. But what we basically heard is like he was like that quiet kid, but he also like hung out with like the real athletic, like popular kid, but they ended up like getting along over something bad. And that's the one that ended up like passing away a couple of years back. But that's the reason why it says that his dad brought him to that gym, because he had already like separated him and Jeremy, I believe that was his name. And he needed, he was trying to like rebuild from all of that. So I don't know if he really would have been bullied, honestly. If he was like really good friends with like the big popular kid, was he bullied? The way that they're trying to like push on it, I don't see how that would be possible. Not if he was like super close with the mega popular athletic boy. You know what I mean? Usually that would like stop him from being bullied, his affiliation.
But that could have attributed to him being very quiet, that he was bullied.
And it wouldn't surprise you, knowing the culture of your high school back then and the classes back then, that could have been happening to him?
It would not surprise me. No.
Yeah. And I don't give a pass to anybody, trust me, on I was bullied, therefore I murdered 4 innocent kids in their bed. Like bullshit. But
see, she just wanted to be able to say that. Which, yeah, I mean, like, I agree with you. But you just wanted to be able to say that. She's not even, like, telling you that, yeah, he was definitely bullied. She's just saying, yeah, it's possible, but, like, we never saw it. And you're just, like, trying to manipulate that into something that it's not, which is wild.
No, absolutely
we're just all grabbing at any sip of a straw that we can to figure out what turns some.
Yeah, like a week, Jackie. I think, what is it, the 3rd? Is it 9/3, right? I think it's 9/3. I think that sounds right. So, like, yeah, like a week.
Someone from the quiet kid, a little overweight with his backpack and his satin shorts, into one of the most infamous American killers of all time.
Yeah, bullying was a problem for sure in my high school.
But who knows if it affected him
that much it's hard to say.
What did you
Yeah,
think when you
next Wednesday.
saw Amanda and her mom in court behind Bryan Kohberger for his sentencing?
I think it takes a lot. I think it took a lot of strength for the two of them to do what they did. I think, what do you do in that situation? To be completely honest, I think about so many things. If they probably were there to not only support their own family member who they are now losing. People do forget that even though he committed these heinous, horrible crimes, they are still losing a family member. So they are there for their family member, but they're
This is
also there
true.
for the victims. I believe that they were.
This is true. That's why I question things, because I've mentioned that. They might be all on different sides, but they get their paycheck from the same bank account. Just saying.
There to support the victims as well. So I think it took tremendous courage for the two of them to be there, and I think that they should be commended for being there. I think that the pushback that they got for being there was very, very harsh.
Nobody's ever walked in those shoes, and then they feel like they're experts and they can be trolls online. You cannot imagine what it's like to hear
you do the
news
same
that
shit
just
everybody
came
else
out of
does. Shut up.
nowhere. Oh, by the way,
She's so
you're never going to have this one back for Christmas. You're never going to. It's not just that. It would be easier if he was dead.
Sometimes it's sometimes.
Jeez. Y'all heard that, huh? You heard that right? She wild.
Sometimes that's the easier route. Like, that they're never coming. Like, it's
And the stigma and the horror that he's there, and probably the guilt that his parents and his sisters will go through. Like, do I have to get on a plane for 6 hours to go have a horrible visit behind glass? Once every how often? Don't know. With my brother, my son, my child. Like, just imagine the pressure on them and the guilt that they'll go through as well.
Yeah, nobody wins.
It's hard having these conversations, by the way, because all of my conversations have been about the victims and the family members, because the trauma they're going through is like nothing that anyone will go through. It's just this is yet another piece that very few people talk about.
Yeah, nobody understands, because of course the victims' traumas are what the victims go through, and the victims' families we will never comprehend, we will never understand, absolutely not. But I think it's worth noting that that Bryan Kohberger's family also lost a son, also lost a brother, also lost somebody. Like Amanda and her mother will never, like, they did lose somebody. I'm not saying that they're suffering in the same way by any means necessary.
No, I understand what you're saying. I think they also, yes, they've lost that guy. Of course, they can visit him in a prison, but they've got the added horror and humiliation of being associated, like how people feel they're somehow complicit, or they're somehow a part of this awfulness, like this. Like, you went to school with the guy, big,
You made fun of him for calling his mom. Let's just remember that. And you made fun of his sister's face. Remember that too.
No one's ever going to associate you with his horrible actions, but they do associate his family.
Right. Now for the rest of their lives, they're not only associated with that. This poor girl lost her job. Like, come on.
And has that name. She's got that name.
So I think he and looks just like him. Like, spitting image.
They do look alike.
It's got to be very, very hard. I mean, I commend her for handling it with such grace, for handling it as well as she is, and for not letting the internet.
Both of Kohberger's sisters lost their jobs not long after he was arrested. Both of his sisters did.
Consume her the way I would let it consume me, if we're being completely honest. But
I don't know how I'd. There's no blueprint. right? There's no blueprint.
No, there is no.
There's no blueprint for the Goncalves family, for the Chapin family, for the Mogen family, for the Kernodle family. There's no blueprint for them to process this bizarre thing that landed like an atom bomb in their life and their world and their love. There's no blueprint for it. And there's less of a blueprint for the other side of it because there's less attention given to people like the Kohbergers, you know. And then there are the trolls. It's a new layer in the last decade that's really, you know, evolved, sadly, that there's a troll environment that will attack.
It's so funny how she acts like this shit didn't happen before the internet. Like, come on. It was just literally more physically in person before the internet. More people went to the courthouse and petitioned stuff than they do now because most of it's done on the internet. But people would run their mouths in newspapers and on the news, and it was more word of mouth, and it went crazy. It took a little bit longer than the internet does, but this happened and always has happened and has since the beginning of time. There's plays about this kind of shit. Everyone always talks. Everyone always has to gossip and know everything and spread everything around. This isn't new. The mode of transportation is the only thing new.
Families of the victims, believe it or not, families of the 4 kids and family members of Bryan Kohberger.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
You're such a sweetheart for talking to me, and I look forward to seeing you again at the office. But
Okay, that's done and over with. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to show you guys that because she really was trying. She was really super trying to get something bad out of that girl, get her to say something bad about the family, get her to say something bad about Kohberger's sister. Like, she was just really trying. And I'm just like, she's not going to say anything bad because there's nothing bad to say. Stop fishing for something. It's insane how much she just kept trying to get it. Just trying to get something out. Like, what is wrong with you? Please do not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already.